Tomorrow it will be my privilege and honor to travel to the community of Tisovec, Slovakia. It is by their invitation that a delegation from Shenandoah, Iowa, their sister city, traveled to Tisovec in celebration of their 680th anniversary. Since this invitation came last November of 2013, many thoughts have crossed my mind, and I'd like to share a few of those thoughts at this time. I have shared them before at prior videos, but I believe I'd like to share my latest thoughts in as I'm leaving very soon. 680 years is a long time. It is a number that is probably viewed different for those of us in the United States compared to others. The United States is very young in comparison. The United States is still learning many things, even though we believe we are a pinnacle country, which in many ways we are. We can sometimes, a lot of times, show a prideful countenance to the world. But the United States, as well as the entire world, need to take note of especially these simple, small communities around the world that have lasted centuries, 680 years, thousands of years. Tisovec, Slovakia, as I mentioned, is our sister city. They are an example to us of endurance. Europe, if anyone is halfway acquainted with history, Europe has changed hands many times. Europe as a whole has been divided into many dictatorships. It has changed hands many times. You have Russians, the Hungarians, even the British. Most of the countries around the world have had stake in Europe at some point or another. But what resounds in my heart and mind is that here we have a small community, and I would roughly say about 4,500 people, which is not too unlike so many other countries in Europe, who have seen bloodshed and warfare, who have seen their own buildings bombed, who have seen their own people murdered, raped, their buildings plundered. And yet they endured. They had identified themselves as a community, as a family, and they endured. They may have been driven from their homes. Many have permanently left their homes. Many have returned because they knew that they were Tisovec, or whatever city that can be identified to what I'm talking about. So the very thought of endurance is something that is not well spoken of or explained or explored. We live in very perilous times. We have terrorism that is plaguing the entire world. We have people that are openly putting on the internet videos and propaganda showing their pride in murdering other people. Blatant murder. Things that you see in the movies and never dreamt would come true. In the face of those things, we may often feel like, how can we possibly survive this? How can we possibly combat this? How can we, as a civilization, survive? These small communities, as well as large, that have endured, they too have seen these things. They have seen utter genocide. So I am continually at awe when I see communities reach a historic point, such as 680 years, where their people have survived a community atmosphere for so long. Now, it has been my privilege to have visited Tisovec before, a couple years ago. I love the people. I fell in love with the culture. I felt the history in their very character. And because the United States is so very young, as an American, it strengthens the honor that I feel to be able to accept the invitation on behalf of the city of Shenandoah and to attend their city once more, to offer my congratulations in humble adoration of their accomplishments as a historic people, their accomplishment as an example, a teaching example to the world. As I mentioned before, these are troubled times. But small communities like this can teach us something about endurance. We can endure. We can endure these mindsets that threaten our very survival, that threaten our very breath in the middle of the night. We can endure. It is a noble virtue of integrity that we endure. I believe that as a civilization, that if we stand together in a common cause, whether it be as a community, as a nation, as a world, that miracles can and do happen. In fact, it is my belief that's the very basis of miracles, is the ability to exercise faith. And that power of faith grows exponentially with numbers. So if you are in a community that is experiencing hardship and turmoil, you may be going through financial distress. It may be very important decisions regarding your infrastructure or certain programs. If you stand together as a community, miracles can happen. There is no need for anyone to fall behind, to fall down, to roll over and play dead. If you as a community can exercise a little faith, initiate your cause of correction, and endure. And not just hope for endurance, but actively seek ways of endurance. Let the survival instinct within strike up and find ways to endure. If you're experiencing hardship with taxes or paying your bills, don't roll over and feel entitled to certain programs or amenities. Find ways of survival. These are things that I have learned from my visit with Tisovec, is that these people are not rich monetarily, but they are rich in spirit and culture. Like anybody, they fear many things. They are in a part of the world that is currently uh, very close to a lot of bloodshed. And that would scare anyone and create some interesting feelings. But they will endure. For their cause is good, their culture is good. And I believe that Shenandoah as well will endure. We are going through some trying times here. We are uh, in the midst of major projects that have to be done, but at the same time have to be paid for. And you can go down to nickels and dimes on how we've come to certain uh, decisions, but in the end, these things have got to be taken care of. There is no clear solution in any town. You will have pros and cons to every situation. But if as a people you find ways to endure, you will come out triumphant. You will come out a victory. It is a privilege to have Tisovec as our sister city. For those that take note of this, it can be a teaching opportunity. I just feel greatly blessed to have the opportunity to return to this people in their celebration of 680 years. It is a wondrous thing for many of us in the United States to contemplate and ponder. And it does bring about a humbled reverence to the virtue of endurance. It uplifts our own integrity. It uplifts our spirits and gives us hope. And those are my thoughts as I, here in a little under 24 hours, will be on a plane from Omaha, Nebraska, headed for Tisovec, Slovakia, in this grand celebration. And with that, have a good evening.